it's Sunday, and I'm filming, so that's positive. I was asked to do a bunch of mantis care videos, especially for spiny flower mantises, which I intend to do very soon, but I have some violins, and I'm actually going to be sending them elsewhere because I'm getting out of violins personally. They're a great mantis to keep. I think they're fantastic and they're very fun, but they just don't really suit my insect room as much, and I would much rather them go to somebody who's suited to keeping them more than I am. But I do have an adult, and I have a sub-adult and a pre-sub-adult, so I thought I would do a quick video on how to care for these guys before I send them away. Let me get one of them out. I try not to handle them too much, particularly because my male is extra flighty and he may just like disappear. So I have him down here next to me in a mesh cube. Let me grab my boy really quick. Hopefully I'm still in frame. If not, I will be in just a minute. Come here, bud. I'm not scary, come on. Oh, he jumped. Hold on. I gotta get him. Okay, here he is. So this is Father Time. I named him that mostly because he molted much earlier than my females and he doesn't have a whole lot of time to be successful. Let me see if I can get him close to the camera. They're very gorgeous. I really love how they look. They're stunning, especially with this really narrow body that they have. My boy's got some green on him, which I'm really proud of him. He's very pretty, but he may fly away if I'm not careful. Please don't. One of the things that makes violins so tricky, you may see people talk about them being particularly difficult, is that they require high heat. I keep mine under a heat lamp during the day, which gets them up to about 100 degrees, and directly under the lamp. Hey, bud! Oh, okay. I was afraid of that. Okay. Please don't fly away anymore. I will put you back. No. No. I'm putting him back. 1 second. Okay. This is one of Father Time's girlfriends. She doesn't have wings yet. Though she will very soon. I actually think she's particularly beautiful because her saturation is really low, which normally I'm into high saturation. Hey, hold on. Hold on. I need you to stop. I need you to be pretty for the camera. I usually am more interested in high saturation species, but with violins I find that the low saturation is particularly stunning. She's almost a gray color. I mean, she is a gray color, but she's almost a true gray. I think she's just really beautiful. She was green before her sub-adult molt, so I don't know where this color came from, but I think she's very beautiful. I was talking about temperature, I think, before he flew away, and then I had to get her. Violins need very high temps. They need a heat lamp really during the day because they do best with high temps, 95 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and then they need a temperature drop at night. So what I do is I just turn my lamp off when I go to bed. So I don't find them particularly difficult in that regard. I already have reptiles, so going from keeping reptiles that have basically the same care with a lamp on during the day isn't too difficult. For other invertebrate keepers, it may be unfamiliar, but for reptile keepers, this may be a very good first species, simply because you're already in the habit of turning on and off your lamps. They also will only eat flying prey, and a lot of people will even say that feeding them not flying prey can be bad for their health. What I do is when they're young, I get a melanogaster or high-day fruit fly culture. I usually go with high-day because melanogaster are awful, but I set it in their enclosure with a small gap in the top so that enough flies are able to come out consistently that they can feed continuously without them being overwhelmed and allowing the flies to continue to breed inside the container. That works really well for me, but you could also just feed them like you do any other mantis by throwing flies in there. When they get older, I actually get waxworms and let them pupate and mature inside the container with my violins, just because that way I don't have to worry about them escaping as much. The downside is I don't get to reach in and handle them as often because there's usually flying stuff in there and I don't really want it to get in my room. another reason that I'm probably gonna I'm getting rid of these guys is I just like to handle my mantids more than some people. I like to hold them and look at them and interact with them. And it's kind of hard to do that when you can't even put your hand in the enclosure because a bunch of flies are gonna get out. Hi. She's looking right at me. It's very cute. Hello. I find that they particularly like moths. I don't know what it is about the moths, but usually these guys are more ambush based, but they will chase and hunt down a moth. They love moths. They don't eat the wings though, so you're gonna need a lot of moths. She's still just staring at me. Hello. Another thing about these guys that's really important is they can't climb smooth surfaces. So if you get like a deli cup like this, for instance, this is one of my mini mantis kits, which you can buy on my website. If you get a deli cup like this, they can't climb the smooth plastic sides. They can hang on the lid, but they cannot climb the sides. So I feel that they do best in those mesh cube butterfly enclosures, and you may have seen in past videos that that's what these guys are being kept in. I don't want to pick it up because the lid's open, and I worry that Father Time will fly away again, and I really just want him to stop. But anything that they can climb on, you could put them in a smooth-sided enclosure and then put like burlap or tulle. Why are you doing a wiggle? Don't do a wiggle. You can put any climbable surface along the sides and the lid, and that's great. I think the cubes are particularly good for these guys because they have a lot of ventilation and it's easy to get heat in through them. The lamplight doesn't have to pass through a solid surface, so it distributes really nicely in the cubes, and they're able to stick to most of the walls. So I find mine usually are hanging from the ceiling or high up on the walls. That's pretty normal. I don't even have any decor or anything in their cube, which is right down here, which is why I keep looking at it, sorry. They just stick to the walls and catch the moths and the flies and whatever else I stick in there for them. I don't find the species particularly difficult, but again, I started with reptiles, and so this sort of care is pretty normal for me. In fact, I have mourning geckos, and feeding those guys is kind of a nightmare. So I was already prepared to do flies and high heat and a day-night cycle and all those sort of things. I understand from an invertebrate keeping perspective, these guys can be very difficult, especially coming from like tarantulas or roaches, which are pretty easy to keep in comparison. Are you a threat this way? What are you doing? No, she's just upset. That these are very different than most of your invertebrates that you keep, but from a reptile perspective, they're pretty easy. In that regard, I would give them, a 4-star rating. Am I still doing the star ratings? Have I been remembering that? I don't actually know. 4-star rating of difficulty. Mostly because they're probably pretty unfamiliar to most invertebrate keepers. They're generally recommended as not a starter mantis for that reason. I think that put in the proper research, any mantis can be a starter mantis personally. But if you are a reptile keeper or are familiar with reptiles, I feel like these might be a pretty good stepping stone into invertebrates, simply because you're already familiar with that kind of care. They are really fragile. You don't want to drop them. Once they get their wings, they're pretty good about catching themselves, but you want to be particularly careful with these guys, with handling and with dropping them or with squishing them. They're really spindly and they're equally fragile. Molting for these guys is a little difficult because they have lots of lobes on them. Yeah, sorry. And they're so long-bodied, so generally it's pretty easy to tell with these guys when they're about to molt because they'll get really flighty. They'll run around a lot more when you try to handle them, and they will stop eating. So once they begin to act like that, I spray them a bit more. I do still spray my violins like I do my other species. I spray right through the mesh cube. I do it less often than I do with other species, as they get the vast majority of their fluid from their food. So they're less likely to take in what you spray in, but I mostly do it for external hydration, though that's less crucial for molting than internal hydration. Just make sure that they're well fed, especially on prey that's got high water content. Moths are really good, especially because they don't eat the wings, and they throw them on the ground, and then the container is full of moth wings, which is why I'm not showing it to you, because it's full of moth wings. I really need to get them out of there, don't I? Where are you trying to go? Alright, just walk off frame, that's fine. So, I figured out what she's after. I've got down here, out of frame, my new baby spiny flower mantises, and she wants to eat them. Please don't eat my children. Oh, do you want up here? Yeah? Yeah? There we go. These guys are so much fun to watch. They don't move a whole lot in their containers. They just kind of hang. They're very much an ambush predator. They're a little boring even, but they're just so beautiful. You don't have wings yet, you can't get on the ceiling. No? Rip. They also sometimes develop these really cool stripes on their raptorials. I don't know if you will be able to see it. She's very pretty. Hi. I'm almost sad to let you go, because you're so pretty. But I already got the items in trade, so I can't not send you. That's the violin. They're a little fragile. They can't stick to smooth surfaces, and they only eat flying prey. And also they need a heat lamp. Oh, that's the gist of it. They're not too difficult. They are very pretty, and I do think they're genuinely worthwhile. They don't have as much personality as some of the smaller species, or some of the bulkier species sometimes, but they're kind of fun. Oh, they're so scary, so scary. I'm sorry, I'll stop. It's just so cute. Okay, I'm scaring her, I'll stop. So, the violin mantis, a little more difficult, or not, depending on your background, and very pretty to look at. So, maybe consider getting them, maybe don't. Depends on what you're looking for. They do get pretty big, so they need quite a bit of space. That's pretty much it. Oh, aside from communal living, which I want to do a video on separately in general, but this is one of the species that a lot of people say you can keep communally. I have kept mine communally. I haven't had any issues of cannibalism. I've always had 3. They're all still here. They don't bother each other for the most part. On occasion, they'll walk over each other, and she's dancing now. I really should put her back. She's getting a little stressed out, so I'm going to do that really quick. Okay. As a general rule, don't keep mantises communally, even the species that you can. I only had one place where I could support a heat lamp for mantises at the moment for this particular species, so I did elect to keep them together. But in general, I don't like to do that. I have had issues with ghosts eating each other, and I just don't feel that the risk is important when you're dealing with an insect that's a little expensive. You don't want to run the risk of them just deciding to eat each other one day and losing one for no reason, really. But as a general rule, these can be kept communally, and I just knocked stuff off the table, don't worry. Oh, this is also kind of my workstation, so I've just got stuff. Like, I've got my mini mantis cups stacked over here. I've got lids for my townhouses over here. I've got mantises down here. Don't worry about it. I'm always knocking stuff over. But you can keep them communally. It's alright. But I want to do a video about how communal mantises are mostly a myth in the future. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, that's the violin mantis. They're not nearly as complicated as some people make them seem. They like it hot, they like it dry, they like things that fly. There you go. They can't climb smooth surfaces. That's also important. I don't know how to make that one rhyme, but there you go. The violin mantis. I may film another video today, so I may be wearing the same shirt in a future video. Don't worry about it. I do my laundry. Just both of my roommates are out of the house, so it's a good time to film. Until then, see ya, hopefully, with a cleaner workspace. You can't see it, but I can, and it's really bad. See ya.